So what's going on, everybody? JA News. Salute to you for tuning in. So as always, we're going to be jumping into the latest sneaker updates. Stay tuned for our main story as Supreme, the once beloved streetwear brand, it looks like they have landed themselves in a little bit of hot water. So we got a new lawsuit which has surfaced, and an individual which many people would say is like the Michael Jordan of their brand is actually directly suing the company. Plus we got Nike rolling out a new strategy or new plan for their high profile Jordan releases, which we've already seen unveiled here in 2025. So we're going to discuss what that new strategy is and how it affects us here as consumers. Guys, if you enjoy these updates, make sure you smash the like button down below. We're going to go ahead and begin with some quick updates. So first up, we got Gray Days happening right now with New Balance, which is essentially a company-wide celebration. When someone like me thinks about New Balance, I pretty much think of like them boring ass, like a gray pair of 574s. But as y'all know, throughout the years, New Balance has definitely expanded. They have so many different silhouettes, so many different models to choose from. And I feel like that's what Gray Days are all about. Pretty much highlighting the countless different gray models which New Balance has in their catalog. So you got anything from the 9060 to the 1906R, as you guys see right here in this image. So many different gray pairs releasing, which Gray Days has already kicked off. But just for example, today they dropped these new 1906L loafers, which definitely seem to be a big hit. New Balance really can't keep these joints in stock anytime they drop. So these sold out today for 160 bucks. And then, like, for example, later on this month, they got a brand new model here in the 2010, which this is their interpretation of the Gray Days release. So both of these pairs dropped for 160 bucks. And while you got so many different pairs to choose from for the Gray Day celebration, which continues on throughout the month, there's a lot of great pairs, but let me know, guys, New Balance fans, comment down below. Are there any great pairs which I'm actually missing and maybe keep an eye out for? So keeping things moving, we got a very interesting collaboration which has surfaced. I want to even call this almost like an odd collaboration, which throughout the years we've seen many different odd collabs. I feel like the whole purpose of these brand collaborations is kind of like to bring two different audiences together, and it creates success for both brands. So some different odd collabs that we've seen throughout the years, I would say definitely like, say, Travis Scott McDonald's collaboration, which I think in that collab they dropped like a chicken McNugget pillow or something like that. Also Supreme, they definitely been known for some kind of odd, quirky collabs throughout the years. And of course, we're gonna touch on Supreme a little bit later, but this next one, G-Shock and Crocs, I would say this one's definitely weird. You guys are familiar with Crocs. G-Shock, these are those like big ass plastic watches. I remember they were like real popular when I was in high school, you know, hitting the scene like that. So as far as a Crocs G-Shock collaboration, like, one could only guess what them joints would look like. So I'm gonna just give y'all a moment to just imagine like what could possibly a G-Shock watch Crocs collaboration look like. So ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. This is essentially the Crocs Echo, I guess is the model, and then slapped on with a good old-fashioned G-Shock. So comment down below like one word to describe this pair right here. On the top is just like the standard look, while on the bottom shows the kind of glow-in-the-dark functionality actually that this footwear will feature. So as far as my one word, if I could describe this collaboration, the first thing that kind of comes to mind for me would be disgusting. But I guess like if y'all were fans of those like big red boots that dropped years back, I'm seeing that like probably some type of influencer could pull these off with some type of like crazy wow fit. So as far as these Crocs G-Shock collaboration, this is actually going to be dropping via Crocs, G-Shock, and select retailers coming up here on the 27th, and the retail price 200 bucks for a pair of Crocs right here. So keeping things moving, we got the Terror Squad Air Force Ones. Now this was a collaboration which I guess you could call almost like a cult classic. It wasn't even an official collaboration until years later, you know, Nike and Fat Joe teamed up to officially release this sneaker to the public. So we got the Panda first colorway. I guess what was that, last year we saw those drop. That was a release which I would say was cool. You know, I definitely say it was more catered towards the OGs, which I feel like the nostalgia was really the big, you know, buying force behind that one. But I think it didn't really connect with the youth like that, which doesn't really matter because every release isn't for every audience. So I would definitely say they were probably a hit, which is why we see Nike following up that first Panda colorway here with this new pretty much just white red joint. We did know that these were actually coming, but now we actually have a look at the official images which were pulled right off the back end of Nike servers. So not too much to say about him. I mean, you guys see what's going on. You got the little Terror Squad branding in here. A nice little blood red colorway going on. So be on the lookout as these are set to drop coming up here August 1st. So right at the end of the summertime, retail is $150. And due to the fact that Fat Joe gifted that original Panda pair to the likes of Bill Clinton, I wonder who we're gonna see him gifting these ones to right here. Maybe we should say like Fat Joe should dedicate these to the memory of Epstein, because we all know Bill Clinton is a deviant and he was definitely out on that island. So we're gonna jump into today's fit of the day, my favorite segment, which if any of y'all ever wanna be featured here, all you simply gotta do is just tag me over on one of your outfit pics over either on the gram or over on X or Twitter. So stepping up to the plate, we got a user submission from GBK_sneakers out here looking like the dad from Breaking Bad with the baldy, about to meet the plug, rocking a fresh pair of Ama Munya Jordan 3s. This is from the While You Were Sleeping collection. So for everybody that's out here like complaining always about Jordans or high profile collaborations being difficult to cop, this was a release which they did the right way. This was one that the people were actually able to touch. And GBK, he's out here showing y'all how to do it. And I don't know why does GBK sound like a gang or something like that. So as far as the fit, he paired it up with a little burgundy pair of pants, a little graphic tee, which I can't really make out the graphic, but he kept things light, simple, which I feel like is always an effective way to do it. So as far as this fit right here, I definitely think he did a good thing. So salute to him on that one. And as always, y'all, jump in the comments, leave your feedback, and give him a rating 0 out of 10. And he even put right here in the comments, Jada Great 38, go ahead and roast this. So salute to him for being a good sport, guys. Let's go ahead and jump here into our main stories, which coming up here, let's go ahead and start with Supreme, which they found themselves in a little bit of hot water as they're being sued by Tyshawn Jones, who's an individual, which if you guys are unfamiliar with skating, this is a guy that pretty much has been kind of like one of the biggest brand ambassadors in Supreme's history, one of the guys that kind of like helped contribute, you know, putting them on the map and everything like that. He actually signed with Supreme at just the young age of 13 years old, which he actually had an annual partnership to which Supreme would pay him $1 million until just like looks like last year, Supreme abruptly ended his contract, citing that I guess like he was wearing like another brand's clothing during a photo shoot, something crazy like that, which is kind of wild. That's why they terminated his agreement and everything like that. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with Tyshawn, many people would say he's like kind of like the Michael Jordan of skating. Some people would even say like the Michael Jordan of Supreme. I'm familiar with more like of the likes of like Tony Hawk and everything like that. So no disrespect to the legends like Tony, but definitely Tyshawn, he definitely that guy when it comes to skating. Even Thrasher Magazine, one of the most prestigious outlets in that sport, they actually named him Skater of the Year, not once, but 2 different times. So for him to just be kind of canned by Supreme, it left a bad taste in his mouth, and apparently it's kind of ruining his reputation around the industry. You see, with Supreme stating that they had to terminate his deal due to him breaching the contract, kind of leaves a bad taste, you know, in other brands. And Tyshawn is saying this is messing up his relationships with other companies. It's affecting him from getting other brands. And he's asking Supreme to fork over a modest 26M. So I feel like this brother is definitely deserving of it. With Supreme being as they just sold their company, they can definitely, you know, fork out that 26Ms. That's probably like light work for a brand like Supreme. And just due to the fact that it makes things even worse to me, I feel like it's due to the fact that this is one of the guys that was like with Supreme early on, you know, one of the pioneers that helped, you know, along with a lot of other brand ambassadors, you know, really put them on the map. So I would love to see him win this lawsuit. As far as Supreme, like the fact that they terminated his deal just because he was apparently like wearing another brand, a practice which he said he did many times throughout the years, but for some reason they weren't feeling it for this occasion. But we all know more so than likely Supreme was trying to trim some of the fat, you know, trim some of their budget as they were involved in a new deal, as they just actually sold the company. I forgot exactly to who, but Supreme has definitely changed hands a few different times throughout the years. But as far as this look, this is just another bad look for Supreme, which has kind of done a lot of different things which have kind of rubbed consumers the wrong way. And I feel like this is just another notch, which isn't a good look for the company. Let me know what y'all think. I'm hoping that this brother, you know, could come away with another good 26 M's, because being as he was signed since 13 and they're only giving him like $1 million a year, which, you know, Supreme annually is bringing in so much money. I I feel like the least they could do is lend over that little 26 M's. And Tyshawn, if you're watching this, let me hold like $1 million or something like that, bro. So before we bounce, guys, Nike, they got a new strategy they're rolling out here in 2025. It's been kind of weird as far as like high profile Jordan releases. They kind of kicked off the year with the Black Cat 3s, Black Metallic 5s, as well as the Flu Game 12s. We can't forget about those, plus some other drops like that. But as far as some of their more recent releases, rather than doing what we saw a lot of last year's shock drops, they're actually rolling out exclusive access for these releases. So we saw them do it for the UNC ones, the reimagined joints that just dropped. And then, of course, yesterday, we saw Jordan Brand grant some select individuals exclusive access via the Sneakers app. So, of course, with this release, which is slated to drop coming up May 24th, definitely a highly anticipated release. Yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't get access. But according to Eldon Monitors, they dropped around 14,000 pairs of this sneaker ahead of the official release date. And rumor has it, you guys already know, if you're following anything here in the sneaker space, apparently there's supposed to be a lot of pairs of these to go around. Some people are saying 100,000. You never know exactly with these stock numbers, but from the sounds of that, it seems like there's definitely a lot of pairs to go around. So with them doing exclusive access, from me monitoring the scene when they did it for the UNC ones, it seemed like they dropped that, like a week out ahead of the release. We saw the resale price kind of increase a little bit once they did exclusive access, but then once them joints dropped, they were bricks under retail, which isn't a good look for Nike and Jordan Brand, just because they already know that a good portion of their sales just come from scalpers and resellers who are looking to buy these to flip to the next person. And if one of their shoes is going for under retail ahead of the release date, it's not a good look, because the resellers, they're not going to buy them, leaving a lot of pairs available to eventually have to go on sale. So as far as these white cement 4s, kind of the opposite thing when we saw exclusive access go out, to where we actually saw the price decrease to where many of the sizes here are going for like, just under $300. So according to the comments here, somebody said it'll be back up after release, potential shoe of the year, regardless of the price. Somebody also put, is this a fail? LOL, this is a bad sign for me. They're gonna be $400 a pair next week. Good, hopefully they're below retail, won't last, be back up. So it seems like most people feel like this sneaker is so goated, it's such a classic, that regardless of the price dipping, we will see an increase, ahead as we get closer to the release date. I would actually beg to differ. I feel like with this shoe like this, being as that it's like being so massively produced, resellers may actually not look to eat these all up. I kind of may look at this as possibly a situation like the Black Cement 3s that we saw release, which pretty much didn't have like a huge resale ticket, were pretty much accessible, and people are still able to get them joints to this day, even if they do have to hit the secondary market for just about retail. So I'm hoping for the best for sneakerheads and consumers that are actually looking to get these on feet, not just resellers. It's looking like this one may actually be one that the people can touch. So based off the fact that Nike's playing with this new rollout strategy, rather than doing a shock drop, they're doing exclusive access for just certain individuals ahead of the drop date, which gets a decent portion of the pairs off the market early. But being is that there's so many pairs of these, I'm guessing that once these joints drop coming up here on the 24th, they may not be as crazy as people originally thought. And this may be a sneaker that people can actually touch. And I love it. I mean, just imagine if these were going for under retail, that would be an automatic cop for me. So let me know what y'all think about Nike's new release strategy for high profile Jordan releases. Rather than doing things shock drops like we saw in recent years, they're rolling out exclusive access. So this is a trend which I would like to see Nike continue throughout the years, but only time will tell. This year they started things off a little bit different, and it seems like as we're rolling here into the spring season, summer, they're kind of switching things up. So we'll see how things go as far as fall releases. But we're just about halfway through the year. A lot of great pairs ahead of us. So you gotta love the 40th anniversary from Jordan Brand and Nike. And we'll just see how these releases continue to roll out. But as far as these white cement 4s, I'm hoping that this is one that the people can touch. So drop your feedback. Let me know what y'all think about Nike's new release strategy. Did you guys happen to get a W on yesterday's shock drop? And what do you guys think about this whole Supreme situation? Do you feel like they're in the wrong, or do you feel like Tyshawn just kind of bugging and he's just being a little greedy for them 26 M's? Let me know y'all thoughts. Salute to everybody. Of course, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the latest episode of JA News. Drop a salute. Let me know y'all made it all the way through the end. And of course, if you enjoyed the update, smash the like button down below. JA News. I'll catch y'all next time. I'm out. Love.